and emotionally as well as physically.
Okay. Sorry, if I do lag out a little bit, it's because I'm on the road. Actually, I just switched seats. As soon as I realized the time, I immediately so
It's all good.
I am no longer the driver.
It's all good. I, ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of multitasking. We all gotta, gotta do what we gotta do, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that we'll have a couple more people pop in like we did last time. Um, I'll wait a couple minutes before I start getting into some of the deeper questions. But just like we were just talking about, like, what are some things that you do to take care of yourself, like psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, physically?
Oh. Oh, I didn't really give that much thought. It could be a bunch of things for me if now that I think about it. Um, Reset button is actually
All
being
right, I
with
see what he
my
was talking.
family. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a little delay.
Yeah, it's I just passed over a little zone that gets some
Okay. So you were saying like the reset button is often being with your family?
yeah, often much because I do spend quite a bit of time away from them at times.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
I
yeah, it does get rough. So it does take a toll. So
yeah,
when I'm home, it I feel more at ease.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
even though I may have like a ton of stress, what would happen with me is that I'll feel uh it feels more manageable, so to speak.
Hmm. But you see what you said though, and I think that's interesting. That's an interesting point that you said that the reset button and you get recharged, by being with your family. That's something that's helpful. I just want to throw that out
Right.
there because I think that's something that a lot of us experience as families where you as fathers, with how being with our family, being present with our families, having meaningful time for our families, with our families can be restorative psychologically, your belief set, your mindset. It can be restorative emotionally. I'm happy, I feel good, when I'm in the presence of my family. When you look at what society has says, right? What some of the things society has said about men, society has says about fathers, society has often operated with the myth that that's not something that's important enough. Now
Right.
you feel that way. I'm getting ready to go on this vacation. I'm about to be out. I'm about to be on a world tour. I'm gonna be cruising all over the world. I'm chilling, right? But I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to not just being on vacation. I'm looking forward to creating meaningful memories as a dad and as a husband with my family.
Yeah. Because out of everything, also when you're away from your family, like a lot of times we do, depending on the situation, we end up dealing with ourselves a lot,
Yeah.
whether it be a known or unknown by our own family members, to the point where we end up being wrapped in our head, and it can be like a runaway freight train.
Mm-hmm.
When you get back with your
Mm-hmm.
family, it kind of like pulls on the reins on that from you not losing your mind, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets
I
you out of
think
your own head.
it gets you out of your own head, and that's the recharge that I was talking about with your mindset. Like when you
Yeah,
can be present in that way, and how it helps restore your mindset. Because just coming home and looking at the beautiful life, looking at the beautiful family, looking at what you created is often the motivation that we need to recharge our mindset it reminds you what you hustle for. This is what you hustle for. This is what you go out here and you work for. Work for. You go out here and we go to work every day. And like I was saying on the last podcast, we make sacrifices. So the time that I spend away from my family, it's not time that I'm spending away from my family because that's what I necessarily want to do. I'm willing to sacrifice this time so that I can create some type of high value quality of life. And then when I'm present and I get to see the inner workings of it, that feels good. There's a home, there's a family within that home, there's a nurturing environment. All of it goes hand in hand. All of it intersects. Oh, what happened?
I see too.
Did you hear that? There was like a lot, like some more. Okay, all right, never mind.
Okay.
Now, me and Doug, we was having this conversation right as we were preparing, for the part two of the father of the podcast where we want to be having this discussion about fatherhood, right? And one of the things that we discussed, I was curious to know, what Father's Day. Father's Day was last Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Did any of you notice, if there were any themes that came up, during social media? I want to see if any of you noticed some of the things that I noticed that I think is different than what you would typically see on Mother's Day. So you guys tell me what you saw a little bit. What did you see? And some of the things that you might have saw on social media, or some of the things that you might have just heard other people say.
I saw a wide variety. But one thing that I really did, social media has a weird way of changing their algorithm to suit you. So one thing that I've seen was a kid. Oh no, one video. I'm gonna say it was a kid. Well, not a kid, but like he was a teenager on one of the shows. I think with it may have not been American Idol or one of those shows. He was singing. Hawaiian born kid. His dad died a few months before his audition.
Oh wow.
He was singing a song I think called Monsters.
Okay.
And I remember one of the hosts was Lionel Richie, was one of the judges. And the song that he sang made them cry.
Yeah.
Because he had such a special relationship with his father.
Yeah.
And he dedicated that song. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I actually can find it. It was called. It was Monsters by James Blunt.
Okay.
So that was, and it was actually a very touching song, and it will pull on the heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of things that I deal with as a father because of my own past, more recent than childhood.
Mm-hmm.
That it will pull up some heartstrings. You kind of want to make sure that you are a better father than your father was to you.
That's real talk.
Yeah.
That's definitely real talk.
And you want to make sure that you are the father that your son sees you as.
Now, I think one of the things that we were talking about, I'm glad that you brought that point up, right? Because when you don't, I think it's a lot more real for individuals who might have had a relationship, with a father or a father figure per se, and you've seen that demonstrated actively throughout your life. I think for fathers who don't have any awareness of that, it might be a little bit more difficult with like that very statement that you make, like you want to be a better father than your father was to you. When you think about maybe some of the things that you experienced with your father, it may be extremely difficult to try to figure out, all right, well, what is the best way? How do I go about that? Which leads me back into, right, because this is what me and Doug was talking about. I see a lot of, happy Father's Day to my mom who played the role of father and mother, right? So, so,
Yeah.
so, so
Yeah.
clearly we know that that's something that exists. Whereas though, listen, I tip my cap to those women that step up and play that role very well with being the best parent that they can be. But I kind of wonder, does that really replace or eliminate what that person is not getting from their father because their father is not there? Mom is stepping up and doing a lot because the dad is not there. But is she truly filling the role of a father? Now, come on, I threw it out there. Come on, don't run away from it. Don't run away from it. Don't be scared.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna say this. We know for a fact that every child needs a father. Like for a boy, only a man knows how to can.
For a daughter too.
Wait,
For a
hold up,
daughter too.
hold up. I'm working on that.
Okay.
So this is what I saw. Uh, it takes a man to teach a boy how to become a man, right?
Okay.
Same thing as a woman. It takes a woman to teach a girl how to be a woman. So
Okay.
there are certain qualities that, as a mother, that can who ends up filling up both roles at times,
Mm-hmm.
that can help, but from what she learned, but she's not going to be able to have that full experience as a man because she is not one. However, she can, like I said, she can teach all of the different qualities that a man could, but that kid will have something missing because he has a father figure,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. The father can is not as common in society nowadays, but you still see that where a father will be both the mother and the father.
Mm-hmm.
But father can, and that'll be if father's a good dad. But the father cannot teach that girl how to be a woman. He can teach all the qualities, but not the same. It's not the same. A woman that will become a mother figure to that daughter would would be the one to instill those best qualities in order for them to be raised. Not to say that they're not doing a good job,
Yeah.
because there are many
Yeah.
single parents out there, or parents that work that go at it alone, and the kids are fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not suggesting that anybody should take anything away from that.
Right.
I was having a conversation with my son earlier. We was talking, right, John Wrong? All right, cool. So me and John Wrong was talking, and I had that conversation with him a little bit because Marcel, I said what I said to Jonah is, I said it's a difference when it comes to that thing, right? When it becomes to parental figures and filling roles, it's a difference between understanding something and having experience of something, right? So I'm talking to
Right.
Jonah, and I said, Jonah, I said, you've never driven a car, right? But you've been in a car before, right? So Jonah said, yeah, I've been in a car. So I said, that means you have experience of a car. You have experience. You know, that means you have understanding of what it's like to be in a car, right? You've been in a car with people. You've seen people driving a car. You have understanding of how it probably operates, but you don't know how to do it because you've never driven yourself. You don't know
Right.
how to drive a car, right?
Right.
I'm not a female. I don't know. I have understanding of what a period is when it comes to a woman having her
Right.
cycle. I have understanding. You may need. I don't know what it's like to experience. I don't know what it's like to experience it. I don't get a period, and that's
Right.
the part where it's often disconnected when we say that. When you say your
Right,
mom should be your dad, no, your mom can understand some things. Mom does a great job of understanding some things, but she doesn't have experience of it. She doesn't know what it's like to be. She doesn't know what it's like to get a hard on. She's not a man. She doesn't know what it's like to meet a pretty girl or meet a pretty whatever, right? And
right,
nowadays, and then you get an erection. She doesn't know what that's like, but you know who does know what it's like? One of us knows what that's like, and because we
right,
do know what that's like, we're more suited to probably have that conversation with that kid.
right. And have the kid be comfortable enough to
Yeah,
have those type of conversations because in the same token, a lot of the times because of how they're raised, they become more drawn into themselves and will not be comfortable with actually sharing those things.
yeah,
For example, I'm going to use myself as an example.
yeah, yeah,
I was a late bloomer. My mother, my father has been there, but my parents divorced when I was 13. So I had my
yeah,
father through my childhood. But all of a sudden now, I end up entering puberty and everything. I don't know what's going on. I'm clueless. The only thing I learned was from the educational things from school.
yeah,
My mother was the type that you said, which was because of my background. He didn't want any distractions at all.
yeah.
She wanted me to go to school, go to college. Don't fool up with them girls or anything. You're going to graduate. That was her thing.
You know what?
And she was tough with it. So I didn't really have those talks because apparently there was none of those talks prior
Yeah.
to in her childhood. So she may or may not been able to have those talks with me. And my father wasn't around to give me those types of talks. So I was stumbling through my
Mm-hmm.
teenage
Well,
puberty years trying to figure out what's going on.
let me just interject. What Jermaine was saying. First, let me
Aubrey
shout out
Jones.
chiming in from the West Coast, from Seattle,
All right, the
and
West Coast,
also
yeah.
Rick has joined us. He's here in Tyre. But tying on to what Marcel was saying and what Jermaine was saying, the presence of a man in a young man's life. It goes. You don't wait to puberty for your father to start telling you about puberty.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Jermaine talking about, what does a woman know about a man getting hard? Well, you might even say that about Jonah because he's so young.
Yeah.
But that conversation had already started. So when it starts to move in that direction, he has some insight before that stuff happens. That's what the presence of a man is he establishes the foreground for where the young man is going. So he has some insight before he gets there. He doesn't have to wait.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean now, I think like we were talking about the presence of a woman. I think a woman like we were saying I think they have great understanding of it. What puts them in a unique position to try to provide guidance, but it's really the equivalent of boxing with one hand tied behind your back. Why do it if you ain't got to? There's some people that are choosing to be in that situation. There's a lot of people nowadays that are elected. We see this happening all over the world. Like, where let's go back to the narrative that we've been talking about. Fathers are important. All right, well, I could just have a child. I'll raise this child up all by myself. This child don't need no father.
Go ahead,
Well,
Aubrey.
let me interject something because when you look at the research with like various groups of people, such as Italians or Mexicans or
That's right.
Indians, da da da.
Yeah.
What I've come to learn is that with especially blacks, we're 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 miseducated and misinformed because again, those transparent conversations aren't always had. And what I mean by that is this: when I talked to a guy from India, they said this is their plan. They work hard, they go to college, they get the education, they get the job, then they get the house, then they get married, then they bring the mother and father, and then they may have children. We do it just the opposite. We don't. We have sex early. We parent children when we're not prepared emotionally or mentally or financially, because we want to. Because innately we come from a environment where we just want to feel good. We want to feel like we belong to something. You know. So it took me a while to figure all this out, and this is why today, out of maturity and wisdom and understanding, I don't go around exploiting women just to feel good.
Oh,
Because the possibility the possibility of when I'm having intercourse with that woman, she may get pregnant. So what I teach my son, who's 23, is that one, don't exploit nobody just so you can feel good because you ain't working on your inner being. Two, pick a woman not because of her physical attributes, but because she has a kind heart. You want to see how she interacts. You want to see how she interacts. Could somebody mute themselves? So you could see how they interact at home with their parents, whether they're respecting their parents. You don't want a woman just because she got a fat behind and big titties. And I think that's a part of becoming a man, because in my generation, we had the community. We had uncles, we had neighbors, we had men, and they made sure that you conducted yourself in an appropriate way, or you was going to get seen, or you was going to get slapped beside your head. Seriously. When all heads say, you might want to, get around them, and they would tell you, like, if they drinking wine, it's time for you to roll, youngin'.
All right, let me ask you this.
So that's what I wanted to say, because, because when we say be better fathers, right? One thing I have to say, my father was a World War II veteran. He kept a job for 44 years at the railroad. I never was hungry. I had clothes on my back, a roof over my head, and a place to sleep. And that was what was necessary to observe, because again, it was a foundation, as opposed to what's going on today, where you got these fly-by-night dudes. They don't have any nurturing. They don't understand. They have no moral values. They have no way of gauging what a man is, because everything has been the false narrative of being a thug, being a goon, being a hustler, being a gangster, all that negative bullshit, which only leads them to jail and a lifetime of being subservient to a job that not a career, a job. So being a father for me is to talk to my son, and I told him, I said, I want you to be uncomfortable, but I want you to know that you need to come to me when you having issues, because he was getting on Facebook, not realizing all the possibilities, negative possibilities, with because the FBI and cops are on Facebook, and he was on there thinking he talking to somebody based on a picture, and was put because his grandmother told me.
Hold on. I just want to say real quick, I appreciate your vulnerability, but I just want to make sure that we protect everybody, right? So I hear you, bro. I hear you. All right,
okay, so I'm not going to get into the details, but I'm just saying these are the real life things that are happening with social media, with little kids are having sex at very early ages now. where we would not probably have. I didn't have sex till I was damn near 18. You know. But again, I was looking at magazines. I spied on whenever my sister had her boyfriend over. Da, da, da. But just to say that I'd rather have my son be uncomfortable, but I want him to know that when I speak to him, I,
Yeah, they want
I,
them back.
I speak to him sincerely because I want him to avoid all the possible pitfalls, and that's
Yeah, they
my
go on the trip.
responsibility as a father.
Let me ask you this. Let me say this. It sounds like
No, not that kind
overall
of trip.
what you're saying, and I appreciate what you're saying.
I miss you, biscuit
What
man.
you're saying, but it seems like you're introducing the idea that a young man has to become a man before he becomes a father. So, and let me say this too, Eric, I want to make sure the podcast is open to everybody to share. So, try to keep your comments within 5 minutes because we only have about
Okay.
an hour. But I like what you say because that's a new concept. Does a father have to become a man or be a semblance of a man tutored by another man in order to become a father?
Well, he should be because from an experience. When I had a mustache, started getting a mustache, and I could walk into a bar and get served, or I could go to the state store and didn't have to pay the old head some change to go inside for me. I thought I was a man. It wasn't until I realized that I was emotionally and mentally unprepared, even though I had risen to the age of 18, and society said that at 21, I'm considered a man. Only to
Biology says something different.
realize later on that I lacked the faculties because I wasn't getting
Tell them who you is, biscuit.
I wasn't getting the nurturing from these individuals because I could only see. And when you see things through the eyes of a child, even though you got a mustache, you start to tend to behave like your shoe size.
That goes back to what Jermaine was saying. It's not just raising to the age, but it's about experience too.
That's
You could be
why I've had that
80
conversation with
years
my son
old.
to make sure to let him know I'm 65 years old. He's 23. I say, do the math. So that's how
You could
many
be
years I've been on this planet, and you don't know what you think you know, and I'm here to tell you you don't know, and I'm trying to help you avoid any pitfalls because you don't have the experience.
So listen. I want to jump in and piggyback off of what Aubrey is saying because I think it's very important, and I want to bring some awareness to something that the brother is saying is the importance of being intentional with your child and having guided conversations about certain aspects of what it means to be a child. Let's go back. What it means to be a man as you're transitioning into becoming a man one day. Let's go back to what we were saying earlier, right? But that's the importance of presence, and part of what we're saying. That's the importance of presence. I'll say it again. That's the importance of having a father present because what we are seeing running rampant in society is it's difficult to have those conversations because these young individuals don't understand enough to respect anything. They don't respect nothing. They don't I mean, you think I got to be 40 something just by accident? I'll be 44 in November. I didn't get to be 44 years old just by accident. I had to take direction. I had to respect elders. I had to consider the opinions of other people. I had to learn how to operate with a certain sense of empathy. I think too often when we recognize when we dissect some of the things that we're seeing with the rearing of children in society, it's kind of like we expect that these children should know these things. These things have to be taught. And a lot of what they are learning is based on what you are modeling as a parent. Are you there? We keep saying that fathers are we, but are we there? And are you there in a meaningful way? And when you have time with your children, listen, it's a time for play, and it's also a time for us to lock in and have conversations about things that I need to teach you about your life. Because this is my responsibility to not just make sure like you said, I get what you said, Aubrey. It ain't always going to be comfortable for you. I'm not here to make your goddamn life super comfortable. I'm here to teach you. I'm here to lead you so that you know how to survive. You, matter of fact, if you learn the things that you need to learn from me, you're gonna make your damn life comfortable. You be all right?
And that's called the rites of passage.
Yeah.
It's been so far removed from our culture, and this is why, and y'all can attest to this. This is why you see older people acting like kids. They want, because they missed out on their childhood, and now they want to go back, and they know they're getting old and time is running out.
Peter Pan syndrome. Peter Pan syndrome. I don't want to grow up. I'm gonna be a Toys R Us kid forever.
That's why I tell everybody I come in contact with that I serve, I say, listen, stop acting your shoe size and act your age.
Yeah.
Because
Sometimes acting your age.
because each of us have our own individual experiences of being in manhood. But it's a rites of passage. You don't just arrive overnight because you 30, 40, 50. My mama used to tell me, and I didn't understand it at the time she told me. She said, you ain't grown till you get 40, and you don't know a damn thing about life till you get 50. And when you think about navigating life as a black man or a woman, 5 decades, with all the stuff that comes at us, distractions, recessions, depressions, you know, but the bottom line is that we have to do what's necessary, because I'm not trying to be my son's friend. I'm his father, and you don't have to like what I'm telling you. You need to pay attention because you don't know what you think you know. And I'm trying to help you avoid the pitfalls because I've already been there, done it, and I'm surviving by the grace of the Lord upstairs. But nonetheless, pay attention because again, everything that glitter ain't gold.
Hey, I got a question. Is there a difference? Because we grew up on that, right? So, I heard Lala Anthony, talking about this, and it connected with me. Now, maybe it just connected with me, but is it something that really makes sense, right? Because we tell our children that, you could come to me, you could talk to me about anything, you could be vulnerable with me, and then we tell our children that we're not their friends. So what she said when I rethought that, and I thought about the relationship that I wanted to have with my son, she said one of the things that she considered is, well, being a friend and being a peer are two totally different things. So she said what she learned to say is, well, yeah, I could be your friend because friendship means that you can trust me. Friendship means that you can depend on me. Friendship means that you can be vulnerable with me. Being my friend, being your friend means that you can trust me. Being a peer means you're not on my level. I'm not a child. You need to understand that there's a disproportionate level of authority when it comes to our relationship. So she said, she said, I started teaching my child that there's a difference between being a peer and being a friend. So yes, you can be my friend, but you need to understand that I'm not your peer. The people that you go to school with are your peers. Y'all all in the same class, right? The people that you ride the bus with, those are your peers. Y'all all ride the bus together. They might not necessarily be your friends, though. You can always come to me because I'm always going to be your friend.
No, there might be different phases of fatherhood. I'm on the other end. What about when your child, and most of y'all haven't experienced this, maybe already you did, but maybe what happens when your child turns 29, right? The fatherhood that you did when they were 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, still in high school, is not the same when your child is now an adult. And I find sometimes I'm reaching back talking to a young adult to try to remind them what I told them when they were actually a kid. So this is kind of like, for me, Fatherhood Part 2. Stay tuned for you guys that don't have adult children. It's coming.
Yeah. Dealing with a
Because what
grown
Jermaine was saying, that, you're not their friend, you're not their colleague or whatever. But when your children start graduating from college and they know some of the things you know, and they think that they're somewhat on par, they still need you as a father.
Yeah.
Circling back to what you said about being a friend or a peer, I think some of the fathers have to understand the the two don't have to be like mutually exclusive, and I think that's kind of the point you was trying to make with being a friend or a peer. There there has to be an understanding. Every child is different. As Doug was saying, the age of the child makes a difference. The understanding of the child makes a difference. And I think us, no matter what, we're going to always be older than the child, and no matter what age the child is, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 15, 25, 26, 27. And we have to understand as fathers the level of when when is it time to be a friend? When is it time to quote unquote be a father or a disciplinarian or tough love or a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to cry on? All of those things. I think the confusion sometimes be the verbiage because people use different verbiage, and friend to one person means I'm a co-sign anything you do, even if it's bad behavior. Friend to another person means I'm gonna keep it real with you and tell you what you don't want to hear, even if you don't want to hear it. So that's a part of the understanding is knowing the audience that you're dealing with as your son or your daughter or your sons or your daughters, that they understand, all right, whatever verbiage you use, whatever slang you use, like you said, Jermaine, my role is dot, 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 whatever, whatever, whatever. And they have to understand that role and they have to understand the dynamic and the pecking order that they fit in that role. Like, you don't have to view me as a non-friendly figure. You don't have to view me as somebody who can't be whatever it is that you think I should be as your father, as your father figure. But you also have to understand I'm always going to be advising you in what I think best. As Aubrey said, of my 40 years on earth, my 50 years on earth, my 30 years on earth, whatever age you are, I'm always going to put your best interest at mind, even if you are 19 and you just don't see that at the particular time. Your 19-year-old friends that you think are your friends, they might not have the wisdom that I have at 50 to be able to see that. And you at 19 or 20 or 25 or 13, you still haven't developed that as well, either to see it's not a diss, it's not a front because I don't agree or I chastise you or whatever you want to call it. I am actually being your friend because a real friend is going to tell you right from wrong. They're going to keep you from making crucial bad
Yep.
decisions and all of those things. Many of us, I think we all can agree, we may have had friends like that in the past and we didn't understand it because we wasn't old enough and mature enough to understand they really was my friend.
Yeah.
And you know something, Rick? Back to that, I remember there was a time, right? Because I was boxing, and I walked in the house one day, and I threw my hands up to my father. My father broke my nose. He punched me so hard. He told me, he said, "Don't you ever think that you bigger than your britches, that you can raise your hands to me." And all I was doing was playing.
Mm.
And that taught me a valuable lesson. Respect your elders, no matter how old they are, no matter what condition you may find them, because you can learn from an alcoholic or a bum.
You sure
And
can.
what I learned about my father in terms of being a friend or a father was the fact, like you just mentioned, being transparent, being gut level honest, trying to help you avoid, because between 13 and 18, you're on a journey. You're trying to figure out which way is up and which way is down. And because you have not had in terms of my son, he ain't never had a fist fight. He never even played baseball and got his knees scraped. But what I try to explain is it's like we in a relay race, and I'm at the head of the race, but I'm getting ready to pass him the baton. And he need to know what to do when I give him this baton, because there are going to be obstacles that he's going to have to get over, manage them mentally and emotionally, because he don't know what it's like with liking a girl and being rejected. Or not meeting his expectations in school. And I always tell him, listen, I'm proud of you no matter what, as long as you keep trying. But you need to come to me first, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be there to protect you with my life. And you need not negate this contract. Whether you realize it or not, you're an extension of me. And I don't need to be liked by you. I need you to understand that I have your best interest, and I want you to succeed when I'm long gone, so that when you're a father, you'll be able to understand what you need to do with your children and offspring. And
Hold up,
being your
man.
friend ain't a part of my equation. I came up rough, rugged, and raw.
All I know is I'm gonna be like, all this money I just spent on whatnot. You talking about you don't like me, dog? Don't make me rock bottom you. I ain't playing with you. I'm like, you mean? What you mean you ain't like me? You like me when you was trying to get a couple dollars? I get out my face with all that. Not playing with these kids. Not playing with you don't like me. Out of here with all that. Because I think I feel you, but I think it emboldens them to get to a point of disrespect, with some of that type of stuff, or some of these stuff that goes on with kids. And I think kids can be very entitled. No, you need to appreciate things, because yeah, I did my job, but there's a lot of people who don't do it. And I did it because, number one, how about I love you, and how about I like you? Treat people the way you want people to treat you. How about I did it not because I love you, but also because I like you? It's not just because I love you; it's because I like you too. It goes back to what Rick was saying a little bit. You my girl, you my boy. I mess with you. I want to see you be successful. That is something that needs to be taught, because they don't always understand the concept of reciprocity in relationships.
You know what my mom told me about being respectful and mindful what a parent is and love?
Yeah.
One day I left the house and I came over to my mom's house and went in her refrigerator and opened up a pack of hot dogs. My mom came downstairs. She said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm getting ready to eat these hot dogs." She said, "You don't live here. You don't pay no bills here. You don't buy no food here. And you need to ask and respect my home and ask me, can you go in my refrigerator?" And that's when I learned to be more conscious of the fact to not take my parents for granted. Because the love and the friendship came when I didn't have to buy no clothes to go to school. Every Easter we was down Crash Brothers. You remember that? Okay.
Crash Brothers.
Or what was it, Shoe City on our street? You know what I'm saying? I never had to worry about being hungry. I never had to worry about hot water, a warm bed to sleep in. Listen, if you and one day I thought I was bigger than my britches and brought a girl home and then walked the girl home. By the time I got back, my mom had changed the lock on the door. And I'm sitting at the door with the key. I'm like, what the heck? And my mom howled out the window. She said, you grown. Time for you to face the music. And I didn't have a pot to pee in, the window to throw it out, and nowhere to go. And then it dawned on me. That simple, childish error caused me to lose a valuable place where I had love, friendship, turned TV on when I want, didn't have to pay no bills, You see what I'm saying? This is the difference between being a parent and letting your children know that there is a fine line, and we need to be parents because, again, your child is an extension of you, and you want them to be a representative of your clan. And it's our duty and responsibility to, with all the things we have to deal with, is to reach out and say to our children, "Yeah, I love you. We can go out and have fun, go football, baseball, you know, billiards, bowling, whatever. But I'm doing it out of love, and I'm trying to show you something on a daily basis on how to maneuver through life. Because one day I'm not going to be here. And
Hey,
that's
Rick,
my responsibility. I'm not trying to be your friend. You ain't got to like me, and I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear. But the world, I know, is going to show up at your doorstep, and if you ain't ready, you going to get your butt handed to you. You're going to write a check, your butt can't cash. So
right,
you better
Rick.
pay attention.
I had a question. I want to know what you guys think. I know we kind of briefly talked about being friends to our children and the children perceiving us to be a friend type of figure. What do you guys think about the opposite end of the spectrum where for one reason or another, there's a lot of variables that go into this particular thing that I wanted to ask about. What do you guys think about so many fathers, adults, mothers as well, but we're talking about fathers that maybe whatever reason they feel as though as a man I fell short. I fell short in this area, that area for one reason or another. And they think that the making amends is to overcompensate and being a child's friend, right? I feel like that's a big issue that I also see with a lot of us as men, where maybe I wasn't there because I went to jail, maybe I lost my job, maybe I had substance abuse issues, maybe I just didn't know how to be a father because nobody never taught me. There's a lot of variables that may go into it, and so many men I see they choose the route of, okay, I'm gonna try to make amends by just being my son's friend, my daughter's friend, and kind of like overcompensate, not understanding that a lot of times I think that does more harm than good. Have you guys seen that? Have you guys engaged in that type of behavior yourself? Or like what's your guys' thoughts on that?
Marcel raised the hand.
Go ahead,
I
Marcel.
wanted to add, just thinking about what you said, Rick. I think part of it is, like you said, about the overcompensating. Uh, we are too hard on ourselves as men, and we should say that. I should say that we would um, often lose that balance because there's nothing to me. I don't see anything wrong with being a being a friend and then a father, because if we end up drifting to one of those extremes, we can end up closing our child off in terms of, okay, you can become like this fatherly authoritative figure and not a friend, so to speak, and your child is too afraid to even approach you about the simplest of things because of being scared of daddy. On the other hand, whether you're too much of a friend, they don't take you seriously. So it would be more so you got to find a balance. And I think a lot of men out there do not know how to find that balance. Somewhere along the middle ground is okay, but you need to find some type of balance within your child's relationship in order to become, in order to be that father that you want to be. I'm not going to call it a good father. I'm not going to call it a bad father. It's the father that you want to be. And like I
That's
said
fine.
earlier, the father that he or she as that child sees in you. Do you live up to that child's expectations as the father that they see?
Well, Marcel, I think if we had a list, say, of 10 things each of us could, if we had a question like, name 10 things that distinguish what a father is. And I think that a father, see, we're using friend on one hand and because the brother Rick was saying balance, and Jermaine said that too. To me, it's all in one. There's the fathers play many different roles. You know what I'm saying? From puberty on up. So I'm always be a friend because my love for my child is an action. It's not just a word I use flagrantly. So I'm being a friend when I'm going to school to see that you're keeping your grades up. I'm doing your homework with you. You know what I mean? I'm letting you know that I have a vested interest in watching you grow and blossom. But I don't need to put on different hats because I'm all in one anyway. Just like Jermaine was saying about the mother in single parent families. When my father was no longer in the household, my mother had to play the role of authoritarian, nurturer, all that. So I looked at my mom and my as well as my father, but my father was a little bit more stern because again he was a decorated World War II vet, been on Normandy. You know, anybody seen those documentaries? You know, that was something to get back from that and still be able to manage. So, I just think that being a father is again multiple hats, and a father, if he's mature enough, he can distinguish, like Jermaine was saying, when I need to be a little firm and say, hey, if I'm giving you an allowance, which I don't know if they still do that, because you're doing X, Y, Z, it's not because you're my child. I'm teaching you a lesson that you can earn, and hard work builds character. But you can't just use me for ATM machine every time you need me. And if you're 29 years old, and I don't care if you went to 7 universities, your knowledge base will never be my life. It will never match up with my life skills. I navigated the penitentiary 20 years. And the streets of Philadelphia during the worst parts of times in the 70s with the gangs. So my whole thing is I see the world transforming, but now the traps, they're so deep and they're so well disguised that we need to be able to express our love and our joy for good and the bad. When our sons or daughters make mistakes, we don't have to ridicule them, we don't have to belittle them, but we need to be firm in that while you're in the home, this is a sanctuary, and this is where you can get all the information, because believe me, when they go to school and when they hit them streets, it's mixed messages.
All right,
And now,
we are coming to time. Thank you for sharing that, Aubrey. We are pretty much. I don't want to keep everybody all day. Yo, wow, like, man, I don't even know what to say. Like, so many different perspectives on what it means to be a father, practicing the application of fatherhood, and this is going to help a lot of people, man, because this is going to show people. One of the things that I didn't get to talk about is the denigration of fatherhood and social media. Clearly, social media, we're out here. Clearly, YouTube. Clearly, Facebook, Instagram, Instacart. I don't know, Insta something. We out here. We out here. Fathers are out here, and fathers have healthy perspectives, healthy ideas, healthy narratives of what it means to be a father. We are out here. We leading. We teaching, we're nurturing, we're being vulnerable, we're being friends, we're learning with our children. We are changing the narrative. We are reclaiming. Here you go, right here. With my boy right here, #1 stunner. No, we are reshaping the narrative. We taking it back. I'm taking it back from you, society. I'm taking it back. I'm reclaiming it. We reclaiming it for ourselves, and we're going to put out there, and we're going to redistribute to society what it means to be a father. As we close out the day, I want to just go around real quick, and I want you all to just tell me, what is one thing that you took away from this today, and if it's one thing that you want your child to know, what is it? And I'll start off myself, right? I know for me, one of the things that I took away from this situation is that, hey, listen, a father is a multifaceted individual. You kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You don't have to be you don't have to just be relegated to just being one thing or being what other people want you to be, okay? And if there's one thing that I want all of my kids to know, and I have Jonah, right here with me, is that Jonah, I want you to know that love can often look a lot of different ways at times, but I want you to know the most important thing that you'll ever know about your dad is that I want you to always understand what a healthy version of love looks like with a relationship with your dad. Okay?
Yep.
All right.
I think the thing that stood out for me in this session was the fact that other than the fatherhood part one, which I thought was very successful and insightful, is this one took a slightly different turn to talk about fatherhood as parents throughout the life of your child, not only from the beginning, but all the way through their formative years and continue to be the parent when they're adults. It just never stops.
Next up.
That's why Jermaine and Doug know me. And this is why I often have said, I even have people who I value their opinions. Even till the day, at 65 years old, I will run major ideas by these individuals and some more because I know I don't have all the answers. And there's so many different variables. So what I took away from this was one, a platform of camaraderie and educating oneself to be vulnerable to getting new information.
That's how you learn. That's how you grow.
I definitely had a takeaway of being as though with some of the brothers here like Doug and Aubrey that have older children, and I know some other people, I know pretty much everybody's kids are older than mine for the most part. I think I probably have the youngest children. I don't know that for sure. But having the insight to know that, as Doug said, there's fatherhood at this age, and then there's fatherhood at another stage of life when they reach different milestones of their life. And that's something that I haven't given a lot of thought to, but because these conversations are happening today, it's giving me almost like a cheat sheet, for lack of a better word. Like with my 4-year-old son and my 7-year-old daughter, and I also have stepchildren as well. So I do have some that are older, but I haven't been in their life obviously their entire time because they're my stepchildren. Having this insight to know that I might.
Let me say this before y'all go. I just did some research. You know one thing? Let me say this to you about you with younger children. When you Google this,
Not getting up.
this is per year. This is per year in the United States. Over 800,000 children, each year are missing. So out here in the Pacific Northwest coast, there's a lot of human trafficking going on because we're near the borders of Arizona and California. And it's real. I'm telling you. So we need to be fathers. We need to be firm and sending that message to our children that the home is a sanctuary and I'm at the head of it and you need to pay attention. I don't care if you 40 years old. I'm here to protect you and I'm here to love you. And both go hand in hand.
I'm not
All
admitting
right.
that person.
Yo,
I'm not admitting that person. I don't know what's
I
going
don't know
on.
what's going on with you and Doug, boy. Y'all got some real.
No, people trying to infiltrate.
Y'all sure y'all ain't
Yeah.
smoking some medicinal marijuana over there?
Hey man,
This person, that person didn't even look like they belong. Here's another person that looked like they don't even belong here. So I ain't letting them in.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
when you trying to when you trying to do the right thing, I think we all know the people that don't want the right thing to be done. Those are the types of things that they try to do to distract us. But we're not
Yeah.
going to let that distract us.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we gotta find Doug. You the IT man. You gotta find some way to delete them type
Okay.
of people before they even get in there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But anyway,
Hey,
man,
so let's learn.
I love this
It's
dialogue, man. And one thing I again want to commend Jermaine and Doug and the rest of you guys, Rick and Marcel. You know, just showing up, man. Don't matter how many numbers are because each one teach one, and we pass the baton. So we can again be the best versions of what manhood is, especially black manhood, because we got so much misinformation out there, man. It's unbelievable. And like I said, it's sad that even people in my age group, they still acting like children. Most of them. I know people that got car insurance and they ain't got no life insurance. So that's deep. You riding around posting on Facebook, like you don't know what you look like, and you stuck on stupid. And then when they die, people calling me talking about, "Can you help me out?"
Sounds like we have some more content to talk about, in some of our upcoming podcasts. Maybe that'll be a topic of discussion. Who knows? If there's anything that any of you think might be a relevant topic of discussion, email me, email Doug. Some of you have my personal number. Text me, hey, I think this would be a good thing to unpack during our building block sessions, and I would love to continue to facilitate these discussions as we continue to help people build into becoming the best versions of themselves. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be out of commission. We probably won't have another podcast for a couple of weeks because I'm on a world tour. I'm going all around the world, and I shall be back sometime in July. Who knows, right? But I will let you know when we'll be having the next discussion. You guys take care of yourself.
Quest.
All right, y'all.
Enjoy your quest.
Have a good day, man. Good listening, everybody.
All right,
All right, guys.
Good podcast. Good insight, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Whew. What the hell was going?
You know what? I just automatically admitted that person.
Uh-huh.
It looked like an older white lady, so I haven't encountered something like that.
Sorry about that,
So then the next person
I
came up sounding like a Hispanic lady. I said,
What you say, Marcel?
no, I kind of lagged out, so I couldn't say what anything extra.
Okay. No, we're pretty much done. It's over. We're done with the podcast. I was just wrapping up with Doug to see anything that we might want to talk about with any technical difficulties we might need to iron out in the future.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't. I knew stuff like that could happen. I was just in the groove. I didn't think that was anything bad. But I should have got a clue that somebody was trying to chime in at the very end. Didn't know what was going on. So I'll be aware because we talked about experience being a father. This is an experience fathering the building blocks of mental health podcast. So
Yo, listen, and I'm super proud of Jonah because he saw it and he got up and walked away. And that's something that the impact of being a parent. Like we've talked to him about. I don't even have to tell him that he knows when it's something nudity. He got right up and walked away.
What?
So they're always watching. They're always watching us.
And he caught that just that quick, huh? Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm going to be always watching next time too. I think one thing that would be helpful is to, when I actually just put that link up today, I just realized that in the link was where you can indicate whether you would attend or not. So we would get a sense of the attendance prior to the event. It wasn't posted at large on social media. Did you post it on Facebook or anything?
Yeah,
Wonder how that person got.
I shared it. My Facebook page is private, so only friends get it. Like only only people who follow me can get it. People that I have some type of affiliation with. Listen, man, don't beat yourself up over it. Like Rick was saying, like
No, I'm
crazy.
not beating myself. I'm gonna look into it and see what kind of security can be
Yeah,
done, because I'm sure this is not the first time stuff like that happens. But fortunately, I was able to, pull them out, and that was just because you sent me a text message asking could I mute, and I started clicking around, and I said, yeah, I can mute somebody, and then 10 minutes later, here come this person.
yeah.
So we good. We good. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. What's your take on it?
Gentlemen, sorry about phone is I was just traveling over a river, so I couldn't get any reception.
Oh, we're all done. We are wrapped up. You don't. We're done.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. All right. We'll talk soon.
We'll
Yeah,
talk
well,
soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.
take care.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
My my take on it is, I think everything went well. I think we'll continue to grow in our numbers. It's always good when you see people coming back. I think it'll continue to grow.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's good. We should have some good content to put on
Yeah,
Facebook from you.
I think we got a lot of good insights. I think there's going to be
Mhm.
probably just a boatload of, especially with just
I'm gonna
Aubrey
throw it in
alone.
social media and see
Aubrey
what it comes
alone.
up.
The
Huh?
Aubrey alone. If you can the bookmark the difference between understanding and experience or something, I think is really key for an insight. And I might even do a J talk on that, right? But we're just breaking that down a little bit further because I talk about that a lot in therapy sessions.
Experience and insight. That's a lifelong project. It's just something that you're gonna learn. There's no handbook on fatherhood.
Yeah,
And if you write it, it's going to be short of, anybody's particular experience anyway.
yeah.
So, I think, throughout the life of a father, being a father, well, one thing Rick mentioned was, when he initiated that thing about being a friend, you talked about that too, being a
Mhm.
friend and Margaret too. I think when you reflect on fatherhood, and you've been a father for a little while, you can't help but to think, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. I could have been this way more. You think about the disappointing times, the challenges you had with your children, and you want to reach back and kind of like patch that up. And I think that's what some of that is about. Sometimes you may not want to go back and revisit certain things and say, I'm sorry. You know how, an argument might happen between you and your wife and you don't want to talk about it. And then all of a sudden she makes something really nice for you
Yeah.
to eat. That's the apology right there.
Yeah, but we got to stop. We got to start verbalizing that because if you really think about it, I think when you go about doing things that way, you normalize dysfunction, or moreover, you normalize toxicity. Like you can't even. You're not emotionally mature enough to just say, "Hey,
Right.
you know what? I got it wrong."
Yeah.
And because
Yeah.
when you don't do that, you warp. You're warping the ability to have a certain level of trust in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I get it, it's
That's
hard.
true.
But that's kind of like when I was, trying to indicate a little bit where there's just belief set. There's different things that we believe that affects our mindset that we have to unlearn because not everything that you experience or not everything that you can do is something that you should do. You got to look at the impact of things. And I get it. Like, my parents, my elders loved me in a very hard way. I don't love my children that hard. I'm firm to a point, but I'm not overly firm with them. You know what I'm saying? Because you have multiple tools in your toolbox and everything ain't a nail. So you can't just be firm. You can't hammer your way. No, they don't always need that. My son was having an emotional experience today. I didn't yell at him and say, "Oh, why are you crying?" I said, "Come here, come talk to me about what you're crying about. What's on your mind?" And we unpacked it and we worked through it. And we said, "Okay, cool. It's okay. It's okay to have emotions about a situation. Do your emotions need to be that big in this situation?"
Mhm.
And we help them work through it. But traditionally, what we've heard as children, and being parented in that hard way, "Oh, be a man. You're gonna be a man one day. Stop always being emotional." And then we wonder why men, when they get older, they don't know how to be vulnerable. They've been hearing all their life, "Don't be emotional." No, no, you're not being emotional. You have emotions. And what somebody needs to help you do when you're a child is learn how to manage them effectively.
Well, we did talk about emotional immaturity,
Yeah, yeah,
and that suggests that there's emotional
yeah,
maturity, which means that there's a process.
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't just are instantly mature. You have to grow to
yeah,
emotional
yeah.
maturity.
This is what I said. It has to be taught. We be thinking that people should know. It has to be developed. It's no different than walking. It has to be developed. So we have to be mindful of what are the different things that we can do. Seek information from multiple resources, and don't be afraid to trial out what works
Mm.
and shift away from what doesn't work when you need to.
You know what? My mother did that. We didn't realize it until we looked back, but there was a time in the day that when we didn't act right as a kid, she would get the belt,
Mhm.
start whipping on us, especially my sister and my brother. They just, as my grandmother would say, an old term, they're ne'er do rights. They
They're not
never do right. Right.
can't get
So
right.
they would get beatings until my sister she was getting beat all the way up until like 16. Me, I didn't get beat because I didn't like being beat. So once or twice I knew it. So one thing that happened was my mother went to school. She went to school for social work and early childhood development. She got a hold of Dr. Spock and a few of those other things. And then, like overnight, the beating just stopped and she wanted to talk to us. And I didn't realize that until after I got into college and got away from home. And then I said, I guess you just got tired of beating my brother and my sister. And she said, no, I didn't get tired. When I went to school, I went to community college and we was in early
Yeah,
childhood development. And
she
I
learned.
learned that
Mhm.
that was not going to be the most effective way. So I had to change.
So she was doing the best that she. So I'm not gonna. I don't. We'll continue having more discussions, and I'm pretty sure these type of concepts will come up. But one of the things that we have to consider in life is sometimes you just doing the best that you can based on what you've always known how to do. And one of the things
Right.
I didn't get a chance to chime in when Aubrey was talking a little bit about, um, some of the things that he experienced. I wanted to say, but you acknowledge it. So that's what allows you to do something different, because it's hard to heal what you don't acknowledge. So if it's normalized within your culture, you don't even think you're doing anything wrong.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's why the belt was very handy.
Mhm.
Spoil the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child
Yeah.
was the tune of the day. So if you wanted to correct your child, you got the belt. And that
Yeah.
mindset is still around.
So we won't. Let me see. Will we meet on? Let me see if we can meet on Monday, because I know we won't be meeting again for a while. Yeah, I mean we Monday is the
Yeah, I'm
24th.
flexible.
Yeah, we can, as long as it's a little bit early. Like maybe we can meet at 5. I don't know if that's too early for you. Or matter of fact, how about we just meet after my 9? We meet at 9.
9 o'clock?
Yeah, on Monday.
Sure, that's fine. I'm around.
All right,
Yeah.
that'll be better. That way I ain't gotta be rushing. We'll do that. And then, we'll meet when I come back on VK.
Yeah, won't be a long meeting. We'll get together.
And I got your invoice at the end of the month.
No problem, bro. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. I'll send the invoices to you. Okay.
All right. All right. Take care of yourself, man. Have a good
All
weekend.
right. See you, Jonah. I see you peeking. I see you over there.
All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Take
So,
care.
take care.
Bro, good to see you, man. I'm glad you had a chance to chime in, bro. That's some good, some healthy insights. Mhm. Yeah.